All right. What is up, y'all? Will here with Schedule Fly. This is the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast brought to you by us here at Schedule Fly. Super simple, web-based restaurant employee scheduling software backed by legendary customer service, human customer service, no chat bots, people that will answer the phone, people that respond to your email quickly, and a low price point. We've never raised our prices in 18 years. I'm not saying we never will, but we're kind of like the Costco hot dog. It just, it's been the same for a really long time. So simple software, great service, low price point. If you were on pencil and paper or Excel or Google Sheets, and there are over 100,000 restaurants out there right now that are on that, if it works, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're having communication challenges, scheduling issues, your staff doesn't really want to have to look at an Excel spreadsheet in an email to get their calendar. They don't want to call in. They want to integrate with their personal calendar. All kinds of value for both the owner, the manager, the staff, everybody involved at a really low price point. Give us a shot. 30-day free trial, schedulefly.com. No credit card, no BS. You can try it out, see if it works for you. And then if you're using another scheduling software, you may love it, but you also might be paying a lot of money for something that has a lot of bells and whistles and features that you don't need. So jump on schedulefly.com or call my cell phone number. It is on our website on schedulefly.com on 3 pages. If you call or text, I can get text. I do use a flip phone, but you will get me, and I'm happy to talk to you anytime. All right, enough about Schedulefly. Let's talk about Restaurant Owners Uncorked, episode number 600 and something now, 15 years in, and we still love doing this, gosh, even more than ever. And I did not know that my friend here, Donny, is actually a Schedulefly customer. He just told me that before we started talking, so I told him I was embarrassed, but I'm even more thrilled to have him on here today. It's the first time we've ever talked. So, Donny, just introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, I'm Donny Bradley. I'm the founder and CEO of Lola Beans, drive-through coffee slash I call it fun beverage also. We're coffee roots, but it's fun beverage. And we're based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we just started franchising and we're just getting going with franchising. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be on the show and just kind of, share my story and talk to you and, hopefully learn some things also.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Well, look, I think you mentioned you've listened to some of the episodes before. I don't have a script. I don't have a format. We just talk for,
Yeah.
45 minutes, an hour. The only thing I always ask is, just I'm always fascinated with how and when did you first get started in hospitality?
Well, so for me, I grew up. My dad was in the Air Force, so I'm an Air Force brat, and there's a combination of my dad being in the Air Force and my dad's side of the family being from Biloxi in New Orleans,
Mm,
and having a big group of there's 5 brothers and 1 sister, and I got to experience. There's 2 things I got to experience moving to new schools. And I always appreciated the people that made me feel welcome when I got to a new school. I
yes.
I think that had a huge impact. That first day of walking into the cafeteria and, I had a couple different people at a couple different schools that were that went out of their way to make me feel welcome when I was in a I was nervous, I was scared, I was in a new place, and they kinda made me feel welcome, and I always appreciated that. In combination with seeing, my uncles always throwing these big parties in the backyard with, jambalaya cooking and crawfish and pigs getting roasted and bands playing and just having fun and people coming over, and it's just these big groups, and it's like everybody was welcome. Along with I always leaned in, I always, like, felt, I guess, attracted to when I would go to certain restaurants, and I'm like, the man, the owner or the manager, or they make you feel welcome, they make you feel a certain way, and so, I think that's what kinda was the initial influence, but what really got me going to so I'm medical device, I started in medical device sales, spine and biologics. And then I had a surgeon that had moved to Soldotna, Alaska on the Kenai Peninsula to start a spine program. And so I was
Mm.
up there quite a bit. And I was in between reps. I had a little stretch where I was in between reps, having to go up there more. So I pulled my kids out of school and the wife, and we moved to the Kenai Peninsula for 6 months from January through
Oh, wow.
July. And
From Chattanooga?
from Chattanooga,
Okay.
yes. Yeah. Now I moved around. I'm used to moving around. My family has born and raised in Chattanooga, same school from kindergarten, all the way through 12th grade. They have, they're not used to moving like I am. So I said, "Hey, let's go. We get to do this." Talk to the school. The school was like, "Yeah, we'll, just keep up with math and science." And I joke around about my wife not being up for teacher of the year. We we didn't quite. She hung in there with math and science, but that was about it. We had a good time up there. But anyway, back to the little shacks. While we were up there, there are little coffee shacks, like almost like a shack you would see in front of a Home Depot that they queued up.
Mhm.
They sling espresso out of. They're on all these different corners. Like Sold Out in Alaska's maybe got 6,000 to 7,000 people, and there's 7 or 8 of these shacks out parceled, kind of all over the town.
Okay.
And there was one in particular, True Blue. And when we were up there, there'd be music playing. Jenna would have the window open. She'd 3 or 4 cars on each side, she's busy, but while she's busy, she's asking my wife about, certain like welcoming her to the town, telling her about certain shops in town, talking to her, asking my daughter about snowboarding, who was learning how to snowboard at Alyeska, like making a true connection with the family. And in Chattanooga at the time, we had, Starbucks and Dunkin', and it was a little bit more transactional than it was
Yeah.
that type of true connection with your customer. And
Yes.
I saw it through her staff also. Um, and then I got to also experience other little shacks in town that weren't as busy. And if you went through those lines, they'd take your order, the window would shut, there's not music playing, you're just kinda sitting
Mm.
there. There's not an intentionality in terms of making that connection like Jenna did, and it was not a canned thing, it wasn't a, not to not a welcome to Moe's type of thing or a canned kinda saying. It was organic, and I got to see Jenna make this connection with my family over time, and my family just loved that little shack and wanted to go. So that's what's that's what got me started and said, "Hey, I wanna do this in Chattanooga. I wanna do this, and, this is it." And so it was that little shack, True Blue, and Sold Out in Alaska that got me started.
Dude.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many okay. Oh, my mind is, like, firing in all directions. Now, I love this story
Yeah.
for so many reasons. Okay. First of all, the fact that you started recognizing what real hospitality is when you were moving to schools is gold because that really is hospitality does not have to be in a restaurant or what we would traditionally consider a hospitality business. It is simply making people feel welcome in your home, in your business, whatever that's what hospitality is. Hard stop. Um, being up there in Alaska, this is going to be an interesting conversation, man. I'm stoked about this because you just nailed something that's so near and dear to people that really value that intentionality. And I believe, and what was her name? The lady at
Jenna?
Jenna. So
Jenna.
Jenna
Yeah.
had something that separates, as you noticed, it is a difference maker. It is hard to quantify on a spreadsheet, but is immeasurable in value to any business. And but it has to be genuine and it has to be authentic. Welcome to Moe's. You nailed it. I mean, you go in one now. I haven't been in one in a long time, but it's like I don't even know if they still say if they do. It's like welcome to Moe's. You know, what
Yeah,
I mean, the
yeah,
customers are like, dude.
yeah.
So let's dive into this because you know that you see that. You also noticed how cool it is in restaurants when the owner's there, and but then that's the slippery slope of like so many people that are like, man, this looks like an awesome business. And then they get into it. It's like, holy crap, this is a really hard business. And that's what filters out people that, don't sometimes make it. So um, I want to get into that and I want to get into how you scale that. But I want to set that aside for a minute. I want you to talk about coming back and having the idea for Lola Beans and why it's named Lola Beans, I know, but I can't wait for you to tell that. So talk about coming back and how this evolved into you actually deciding, you and your family deciding let's do this thing.
Well, partly with, medical device is great, and I love medical device. I love being in the OR. I love being part of the team in the OR and working with the surgeons and the circulating nurses and the scrub techs, and that was fun. The contracting part of it and the, negotiating side, pricing, margins getting squeezed, surgeons becoming employees of the hospital, no longer the decision maker in terms of, me selling. So it moved to more national. So then that kind of pushed me. And I was telling my team, look, I saw this in Alaska. I want to do this. If we want to keep the team together, I'm talking about in my distributorship, some of my key people, we need to start this business. We need to pivot and we need to start this business, right? It's pricing's getting crushed. It's just I see which way this thing is heading. So I owned a piece of property. It was at the now I know it was a C minus spot. At so I learned, but I thought I was gonna go grab a shack from Home Depot, slap it on this piece of property I own, and just start slinging espresso, just like Jenna up there, right? And so I started the whole process and got going. I learned about, building codes and zoning and all this other stuff. And we put this little 280 square foot. It ended up being a little bit more than a shack. I kept it small. It was still 280 square feet. But we got going and we had long lines and we had tons of people coming through and it was fun and we're cranking. And all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, you know, why are we running 41% on food cost? Like, and we're in the beverage business. So then, so then I'm looking at this and I'm like, I really have to get some good people involved to kind of help me to learn from. And I was fortunate enough to have one of my mentors, had a gentleman, a restaurant consultant and a restaurant person they'd worked with for a long time, David Greenberg out of DC, that came in and looked at this business along with his fractional CFO and really helped me kind of get this thing going in the right
Mm,
direction. So that's kind of what got it started. It was more out of I saw what I saw in Alaska. I knew I wanted to do it, and I saw it as a we needed to pivot so I could keep my key employees together that I'd been with for a long time and not have to start letting people go, from the
mm.
medical device business. And so that's what really kinda got it going initially.
Okay, so you had this piece of property.
Yeah.
D how how did you what did you do? Like, how did you build something or, I mean, did you buy like, tell me about
But
the
we
first.
No, there was a little 3-2 bedroom house on there. It was in a little section where there was a little bit of commercial and then residential commercial kinda running down a road that had just been widened, and they
Okay.
were, and so I thought commercial was gonna come in. So we scraped the house and built from the ground up. So we
Okay.
we just we just kinda jumped right in and did it. And, just kinda not thinking, just more kinda doing it and excited about it. And then it's almost like the whole saying of, we took off and then we started building the plane after we took off kinda
Yeah,
thing.
sure.
And, and just kinda did it and was having fun. So, yeah, that's kinda how everything, really got going is, sorry, let me plug the computer in, so my computer doesn't die. Um, but yeah, that was, that was it. We just built everything and got rolling and going, and then brought in, you know, good people that have experience that knew what they were doing and started learning and said, you know, started learning as quick as we could on how to get things in line and how to do things. So this is before I even started thinking about franchising. So
What year was this?
this would have been 2020. We opened in September of 2020. So
Okay,
kind of in
got
the
it.
middle of the pandemic, we had everybody had the masks on.
Yeah.
It's we are fortunate to be opening a drive-through, so it allowed people to come through. But yeah, it was right there in the middle of the pandemic. So
Okay, so September of 2020. Okay, got it. So you open this place, and then you've got when did you open your next location?
we opened in July of 22, and that was in Cleveland, Tennessee. And a mentor of mine had a piece of property, and he was going to put another national brand on there.
Mhm.
And I said, "Hey, Mr. Foy, you got to give us a shot here. I know we can do it." He was wanting to build it, develop it, and sell it, and so he was looking for a national tenant. But he somehow, and I still appreciate him to this day. Gave me a shot to go on there, and we were in between we're in between a Chipotle and a Panda Express, diagonally across from a Publix grocery store,
Okay.
and so we, kind of learning the business, getting in there, seeing, kind of what's going on with drive-through and wanting to kind of elevate what we did at that first location. We made this 510 square feet, 2 lanes, that come run down the side of the building. And, we're out at the cars with iPads, and we take your order right when you pull onto the line with the iPad, face to face with the customer. You're not talking into like a menu board or speaker box or that thing. Your order is taken by a real person. And so, you know, we we're right there. Our goal is to if you're the 14th car in line, we want you through in 7 minutes or less. And we want you to be able to get through. We've got you know what I so going back to the backyard Saturday afternoon barbecues and parties and stuff. I want this to be, Lola Beans is Chick-fil-A meets your favorite downtown coffee shop, fun beverage place, and you're just stopping by a fun backyard barbecue with a bunch of friends, and you've got music playing, your favorite barista, they know you. We're gonna move you through. We are trying to be fast for the sake of having a little bit of extra time with our regulars, not just to be fast to rush you through. If we can if we can be more efficient, speed up our line, it's for the purpose of having that extra time to connect and say hello and check on how, our regulars are doing and that sort of thing. So,
It's all drive through?
all drive-through. We do have a walk-up window, but we have no inside seating. It's just straight drive-through and, yeah, yeah.
Patio or outside seating, or is it just
We have a few little chairs, and we'll have, like, a little picnic table or something if you wanna come and park the car, and, we'll have, fire trucks come through and, ambulances that can't quite get through, and they'll come park and walk up to the window or, every once in a while, there's some team buses from some other schools will come through.
got it, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
walk-up window works that way.
Alright. I see your menu, back behind your shoulder there. Tell us about what's on the menu at Lola Beans.
Yeah, so that's actually the original menu, and I
Oh,
I
wow.
I keep that up there just to kinda, see what kinda where we've come from. But, the menu, this we've got so on the current menu, we are, 55% espresso-based drinks,
Okay,
and then we're about 25% energy. So
okay.
so we do, just fun espresso-based drinks. We can make a regular latte, we can make a cappuccino, we can do all the traditional classics, but we do a lot of the, kind of vanilla caramel lattes, and we have fun
Yeah.
names for them, and different, fun espresso drinks. But then we also do an awesome plant-based energy called Lotus, and,
Ooh.
it is fantastic. Um, it's kinda got a clean, kind of refreshing taste. We do a white lotus that lets the flavors come through.
Okay.
It doesn't have a big crash, you know what I mean? It's not like a heavy, you know, spike with a big crash, and it's just a really good product, and we're gonna kinda lean into that. I saw that out on the West Coast and in a lot of those shacks in Alaska and kinda brought that back. And so,
Okay.
they're expanding, but you know, we we're really we're really excited about our partnership with them and kinda leaning in. And then from there, we do, green teas, lemonades, and then you can with Lotus Power Up, which is a clear um, kinda way to add caffeine, we do electric lemonades, we can do electric green
Mm.
teas, so we can caffeinate or power up any of our drinks. And then we have our version of the dirty sodas, which we call Lola Colas. And so the Lola Colas are, just our fun take on different, Dr. Peppers and with vanilla cream and different flavorings. And so we kinda, we're based in coffee. We are a coffee brand, and that is our, we want, that's our intro, but we have other fun beverages. And so our goal is to create two product customers, right? We want that customer that's gonna come through and get that coffee, and it's part of their ritual, part of their morning routine, part of their routine going shopping. But, maybe in the afternoon they want a snack and they want, and a lot of people are snacking with beverage now. So they might want a green tea, or they might want a little Lotus Energy to kind of for the afternoon, other than coffee.
Yeah.
If we can create those two product customers, it's just gonna continue to grow the business. And it actually helps our day part. Like a lot of coffee shops are busy, 7 a.m. to noon or 7 a.m. to 11. We're actually sometimes busier at that 3 or 4 o'clock hour in the afternoon when people are out shopping and running around. And so we're open from 5:30 to 10 p.m. And then we stay
Oh,
open.
wow.
Yeah, we stay open till 11 p.m. At night on the weekends. And
Okay.
you'd be surprised how many people heading into work in a restaurant or heading into the hospital on like, a third shift, or, manufacturing. Just there's a lot of different people that are, drinking, coming through the line at, you'd be surprised at, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night kind of thing. So,
You mentioned your food costs at one point, you were 41%. What did you do to correct for that?
well, we brought in a gentleman that's got a lot of experience in supply chain and in food costing. And so, as a brand new business, we're all over the place. We're running to Walmart, we're going to Publix, we're getting some stuff from, Gordon. We're just kind of all over the place. And he came in, took our SKUs from 196 SKUs down to 126 SKUs,
Mm.
streamlined everything, moved our supply chain more to Gordon, so we're ready to kind of be a little bit more efficient and scale. And then we've been talking to kind of national, like your Monas and your Khalifas and your Lotuses about what our plans are for the business and how we're growing Lola Beans, and so getting some of that better pricing, just kind of putting it all together. And so that's
Gotcha.
that's really that's really helped. It's pushed it under 30%. And we're hitting 28. We got plans to, as we scale and add, to keep pushing that down. Um, so we're heading in the right direction now. But it's bringing in the right people that have experience and know what they're doing and know how to move it that way.
So the second one, Cleveland, Tennessee, 3 years ago.
Yep.
And when did you start thinking about franchising?
So so in the spring of 23, we had a former founder of a big national chicken chain and his team come through and want to purchase Lola Beans or want to partner in Lola Beans. And they we went through a big process with them. They actually showed us what their plan was going to be and how they were going to franchise. And so, they were wanting, 93%. I didn't wanna give up that much that early. I loved what I was doing, and so we just kind of, it didn't work out. They're an amazing group. I still, try to stay in touch and everything. But that's what got it started in terms of franchising, and them showing me a plan. And then I had a buddy that had started ASP Pools, Stuart Vernon down in Macon, Georgia, and he had ASP Pools was Authority Brands at the time, and he looked at what we were doing, and he's been in franchising for a long time, and he really encouraged me and got me in touch with a consultant that helped us bring everything together, put the ops manuals together. And so from spring of 23 until we started this past February, we really that's where we brought people in to, streamline the the supply chain and get things ready and to get the store economics really dialed in and be ready to go and make it where franchisees that come in can have, really good store economics. They're going to be happy. We've got the support ready to go for them, and hopefully they'll open more stores and be like, awesome validators of this Lola Beans brand and go. So we spent that time kind of getting ready, and we're ready to go now. So yep, we're excited about it.
When did you officially start franchising?
We officially started in February,
Okay.
and then uh, about a month ago we did our first 15 unit deal in Dallas Fort Worth there. So we're going to Dallas Fort Worth area first, and then this group we just reached a deal actually yesterday for they're gonna develop the rest of the state of Texas. So they're gonna do 120 units over a 10-year period in
Wow.
Texas. And
Okay.
so that is our first group, and we've got another group that we're talking to that we're really excited that we think it's gonna close before the end of the year, but that's our first group is that group in Texas, and they're amazing, and we're excited to partner with them.
Okay. So, and they'll do 100. So you've got one that's doing Dallas and one that's doing the rest of Texas?
The people that are doing Dallas Fort Worth are gonna also now develop the rest of
Oh,
Texas.
okay. Got it.
They started with 15, and then they came back, and we kinda worked out a deal, and we agreed to have them come in. They were their legacy, McDonald's and then Wingstop. They built
Mhm.
Wingstops and they also own Crumble, so they've been in the business for a long time. They have 2 older children that are joining them in the business that are currently involved in business, but are gonna be joining them in Texas,
Okay.
and they've got a big plan for Texas, so we're excited about that. You know, they're gonna be somebody we're already learning from them, and they're gonna just really help us take Lola Beans to the next level and tighten things up and just move this thing forward.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
What a big win. So for Lola Beans, so let's talk about the name Lola Beans. Where did that come from?
Well, it's my middle daughter is Lola, and her nickname from when she was, I guess, 1 or 2 was Lola Beans, and so, we were kicking around all these different coffee names. I had a buddy that does, marketing and advertising, got an ad agency, and he helped me with the logo. But before that, we were kicking around different coffee names, and I went to Brian. I'm like, Brian, I keep coming back to Lola Beans just because it's my daughter's nickname, but it feels a little corny. Is it like? He's like, nope. He's like, that's your name. He said it doesn't tie you to a region. It kinda tells, who you are. It's easy to say, it's catchy, so we went with Lola Beans, and so funny thing is we've got a video of my youngest daughter crying when we told the family that it
I was just about
she's
to
like
ask about
because
the other 2
'cause
siblings.
my wife had a shop named Lola's. My wife's grandmother was the original Lola,
Ah,
so
okay.
she's like, "Why does everything have to be named after Lola?" And we're like, "Carissa, it's not exactly Lola, but it is. Trying to explain that to, like, a 10-year-old doesn't
That's
really go over real well, but that's yeah, that's the origin story. It was my middle daughter's nickname,
how okay.
and she's working in the store also. So
He is?
I got all 3 of them working in the store also.
Good.
So, yeah,
That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
So, think back to that experience in Alaska with Jenna, and talk about how and you obviously have that, your family members have that, that intentionality. This is your thing. This is your baby. How do you scale that? How do you scale the presence and intentionality without making it, uh, you know, not to pile on them, but like a welcome to Moe's type
yeah,
experience, you know?
yeah,
I'm sure that's something you think about a lot because it's such an
yeah,
important part of your brand and your, experience.
yeah. No, it really is, and it starts with, like, I mean, you gotta have the culture in place, and, you know, culture drives behavior, behavior drives the results, and the culture driving that behavior will be there when you're not there, right? Because it's just ingrained. It's part of what they do. But you gotta take a step back, and, I think my why for this business I've kind of found my why for this business, and it's rooted in, so I'm a Tennessee fan, so let me disclaimer, I'm a Tennessee Vols fan, but I have become a huge Nick Saban fan, and
Mm.
Nick Saban, um, his message, how do you sustain that excellence over that period of time, and your message as a head coach not get stale, right? How did he sustain that excellence over that period of time? And if you look back when he was at Michigan, he did not have a great team, and he said, "We gotta start looking at this as not transactional and more about, you know, making the connection with the kids that play for us and pouring into these kids and make it more about the relationship side, not just about the wins and the losses." And he said when he made that transition, that's when everything flipped for him. And so, when he's on the recruiting trail, he's talking to parents, he's talking to them about this is just not a 4-year decision while you're at Alabama. We want to prepare your sons to have the tools to be successful in life. And I think um with the team that we have amazing kids. Like, I'm gonna take a step back. Everybody said you're crazy, you're gonna get in the restaurant business and you're gonna be dealing with employees and it's gonna be a nightmare. Well, that is the farthest from the truth. We have like that's the best part of this business is the team. And I feel an obligation and a desire and to we have them for 4 years. So either create opportunity for them to grow with us, the ones that want to, or the ones that are with us for 4 years while they're in college, give them the tools to be successful, right? Be successful in the other whatever career they go into, in their relationships, in their marriage, in their communities. And if we can do that, then that is gonna pour over to um, the guest experience and us having a just, you know, relentless drive to make the guest experience the best it can be. But it starts with us pouring in and giving our team the correct tools. And so then it also goes back to, we're a team that feels like a family. We're not just a family, right? Because if we're a team, we've got standards that we're meeting. We got performance that we take pride in, right? We just turned 70 cars in that hour with a 148 turn time. And when I hear them talking about that, that's what I'm like, yes, they are taking pride in what they just did and how they just performed, right? And so that's where we gotta get this thing. I grew up in sports. I love hiring kids that have played sports that have been coached, that are coachable, that are assuming good intent from the people that are trying to give them some instruction and not just being defensive. And so I think as a matter of us getting good at hiring, hiring the right people, pouring into them, training them correctly, and giving them the tools, that's what's going to separate us. And then that goes into us finding the right uh, franchisees to come into the system. Right? So we're gonna grow, not just we're gonna grow based on finding the right people to come into this system. I'm also a big Truett Cathy fan, and when
Mm.
when 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 Copeland went from Popeye's Chicken, went and bought Church's because he was trying to catch up with KFC, and Truett Cathy's board was saying, "Hey, we need to catch up. KFC's getting so big." Truett basically put the fist down on the boardroom table and said, "Hey, we need to be the best first, and then we'll become the biggest. We're not trying to become the biggest just to become the biggest." So the culture is what's gonna scale this, and it's gonna be done by picking the right people that fit our culture, that wanna come in, pour into the people that work for them, and have a relentless, focus on guest experience.
That'll mean saying no to potentially a lot of potential franchisees because, yeah, when you really yeah, I mean, look, that's I mean, gosh, Chick-fil-A, everybody's, talks about how great they are, but barely anybody uses the same strategy. I mean, they're not even open one day of the week, and they crush it, and they've had that foundation. I mean, I grew up, I'm in Charlotte. I grew up here. I mean, I remember Chick-fil-A. I mean, I was a kid in the malls, right? Like it's been around a really long time, but it was definitely just like a local regional thing forever. So okay,
And they don't just barely crush it, they crush it by a lot. They're lapping fools. They're lapping people.
they are. And what's interesting is like, there's a lot of talk about labor and people and everybody's trying to automate and, AI, menu board, all this stuff. But look how many freaking people are in a Chick-fil-A. Like, I mean, it's insane how many people are working there. So it's, with the right culture and the right people. And by the way, m- uh, one of my kids worked there this summer and I got another one I'm probably going to have there this summer just
Yeah,
for what you talked about. I want them to learn the lessons and the values and the all that to me, it's like it's another education, right?
yeah.
Working for that particular brand. So, um,
Yeah, my attorney said he's got 2 runners that came from Chick-fil-A, and he's like, "I wanna hire all of our runners now from that worked at Chick-fil-A before." And so, if I had people saying that about Lola Beans, I wanna hire people that worked at Lola Beans, then we have done then we're a success, right? If you have
absolutely.
Yeah, so
There's a guy, there's a Bojangles franchisee named Cam McRae, lives in Kinston, North Carolina. He's the second largest franchisee, and um, he they like corporate really wants them to use they have like, I can't remember what they name it, but it's their when you drive through, it's the AI, answerer or whatever that takes your order,
yeah,
and he won't do it because he values their people and creating jobs and building relationships and knows that if he invests in those people and they'll say like, "Oh, well, he doesn't even manage it. He doesn't even like they don't really I mean, they know what their labor costs are, but it's not their like, "We gotta get labor costs and we gotta get labor." It's like, "No, no, no. We gotta invest in people that will stay here, that will grow with us, and that will give a great experience." And you know what? He's the second largest franchisee there. He is he's doing very well. I'll just put it that way.
yeah,
He is doing
yeah.
very, very well, and, because of that investment in the people. Well,
Well,
um
yeah, people close the decision loop. Well, why would you go anywhere else if there's amazing people at this Bojangles and you come in and they know you and you get your meal and
yeah,
my decision loop is closed. Why am I gonna go anywhere else?
done. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
Close the decision loop. I love that. That's yes. Do you know about Franzi? Have you ever heard of Franzi?
Mm-mm.
Dude, I need to introduce you to Alex. They're here in Charlotte, but they're building, it's FRANZY. They're building like
Okay.
the Zillow for the franchise world, right? So, I actually
Okay.
have a friend who spoke to him recently. So this guy is like, he wants to get out of corporate America. He wants to have his own business. A lot of people are in that situation. Well, what Franzi does is, they have a really powerful tool and technique for taking a potential franchisee and then narrowing down, well, okay, well, let's, based on what is important to you and what you want to accomplish, your financial goals, your your mindset, all this stuff. These are the industries we think that you might want to franchise in.
Mhm.
And then they start getting down to the specific company. And of course, so they really are good at helping match a potential franchisee with not just the right industry, but the right brand within
Yeah.
industry. And I'm blown away with what they're doing. It's phenomenal. They've had a lot of early success. They've been doing it, I don't know how many years now, but it's going really well, and they're very good at what they do. So I'd love to introduce you to Alex if you'd like to talk to him sometime, and they might be a good source for y'all.
Yeah.
In fact, he was at RFDC. Didn't you go to RFDC a
I
couple
did.
of I think
Yes.
yeah. Okay. How did
Yeah.
that go?
It went well. It went well. We, um, had a couple really good meetings, um, with some potential franchisees and, got to spend time with Kirk and Colleen Jeter, who are a Texas group, and then just some awesome breakout sessions. I'm a you know, I'm I love learning, and this is just I'm like, eating this up. So just to get to sit in breakouts and listen to people that have done it and have avoided the minefields and have, you know, awesome things to share. It's just I could do that all day long. So it was a really good meeting.
So when are you going to open more corporate stores? Are you
We we do want to open more corporate stores. And I'm kind of looking at Chattanooga and maybe working up 75 toward Knoxville. Um, but we've been like and we've got our third corporate store is we're about to sign a lease. We've got a site picked out in Ottawa, Tennessee, which is exit 11, just in between Cleveland and Chattanooga proper. So we'll be opening our third corporate store this year, but then I do want to open a few more corporate stores. I think there's some value to being an operator along with the people that you're bringing in, just saying, "Hey, if we make some changes, we're experiencing that with you," sort of thing. Plus, I love the stores. I love you know building the teams, being in the stores. Listening to the kids talk about like kind of some of their goals and what they're going to be doing. And, that's kind of, our tagline is good energy. And anytime I need a little good energy, it's just go spend an hour in one of the stores and you're going to be feeling better after you leave. So,
I love
yeah.
that, man.
But
You
yeah,
know,
we do want to open more corporate stores. The big chicken, company that came through, they had a 80/20 kind of combination that they had kind of projected out. And I'm not sure exactly why it's an 80/20 combination, but I know there is some ratio, and they wanted to be, present in some of the stores, and they wanted to make sure if they made any changes that they were gonna ask the franchisees to make, that they kind of experienced it also or were able to, make those decisions ahead of time by testing some stuff at their corporate stores. So, yes.
like a good ratio. I've heard that
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
You know, there was an episode that we did recently, since you love to, or really are always soaking up knowledge. There's an episode we did with George McLaughlin and Amanda Calijo at Vicious Biscuit. It's actually the second time we've had them on, but they're out of Charleston. I think they have 5 or 6 corporate where they kinda went into different markets, mountains, coast, Charlotte, things like that,
Mhm.
and they've started franchising. Um, and I believe that brand is gonna do really, really well. They have 10 locations total right now. They'll have 20 this time next year, so they're getting ready to hit a big growth trajectory, but they were at
Nice.
RFDC too, but George was the first McAllister's Deli franchisee and was in
Okay.
Columbia, South Carolina, had a big exit years ago, and has been doing some other stuff, got back into the restaurants with Fish's Biscuit about 7 or 8 years ago. Really sharp folks. It's a great team, great episode. If you ever
Yeah.
and by the way, if you ever listen to them or any episode and you're like, "Hey, I'd love to pick their brains," just
Yeah.
hit me up, we'll
Yep.
make a connection for you.
No, I will do that. Hey, speaking of did I hear you were sprinting on one episode? Was there one episode where you were talking about doing some sprinting work? So,
I do.
I need to pick your brain on that after we finish up here. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think I was talking to Billy Hall about that on Hall's Chop
Okay.
House episode. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Yeah, I'm actually,
Okay.
gonna do that later today.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
51, and I'm still obsessed with doing that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
sure.
I'm 55, I probably hadn't sprinted in, 25, 30 years, so I need to I've been working out a lot and getting back in shape and feeling good, and so I'm like,
We'll get you there, dude.
"There
We're
you
gonna
go."
get there. I promise
Okay.
you we'll get you there.
Okay. Awesome.
So, okay, I gotta tell you about an idea because you seem like somebody that would enjoy this idea, but also maybe I'm crazy. So, I went to I went to a coffee shop back in, like, 2018 in Raleigh, North Carolina, and they had a chalkboard, and it said, "Pay it forward," and it had all these names on it and a dollar amount, and I was like, "Well, what I" it is right up by the register. I was like, "What is this thing?" And they're like, "Well, you can give us cash, and then you can write down" like, let's say you give us $5, you can write down $5, and then you can write down who you want to be able to redeem that. It could be you can write anybody. You can write on-duty police officer. You can write mom with baby, whatever you
Sure.
want to write, somebody named John. And I was, like, obsessed with it because I love the whole pay it forward thing. By the way, which caught on, like, we learned it through going through the Chick-fil-A drive-through, and we used to do that with our kids when they were young, and we'd pay for the order for the person behind us, and, like, they would
Mhm.
laugh when they saw the person, we'd pull up. And I've always loved that concept because I think it's spreading positive vibes and joy to other
Yeah.
people. And everybody knows pay it forward, but, like, we're not prompted to do it, so we don't think to do it as often. I was like, "What if people were prompted?" So there at this coffee shop, people are prompted, and I just sat there, and I would, like, give them $5, and I worked for, like, 3 hours over there quietly, and I'd, like, watch and see, and when you saw somebody redeem it, they were like, "Oh my god, this is amazing," and then they would put like, it
Yeah.
just it's like this it's nice flywheel, so I've always was like, how do you take that and scale it? And, um, I've kinda gotten obsessed with I do it at the coffee shop I go to here in Waxhaw, this little town I live in outside of Charlotte, and all the time. They don't even have a thing. I'm just like, "Hey, here's $5, like, give it to somebody today, you pick who, and then you
Yeah.
tell me about" and then I come in the next day and they tell me the story. And they're like, "Oh, it was this mom, and she had a fussy kid, and she looked stressed," whatever it is. So I love that concept, and,
Yeah.
there's a there's a point of sale company I'm talking to right now that I kinda pitched the idea to that has a lot of coffee shops as customers. And I just think, like, when you go in and you're at a point of sale screen and you're signing out, sometimes it'll say, "Do you wanna donate to this charity or that charity," or whatever, a lot of times they're like, "You wanna offer a tip?"
Yeah.
I just think if there was a pay it forward thing and somebody's like, "Well, what is this?" And then you tell them, people would be like, "Boom, boom." And then you have, like, the ability for your team, somebody comes through and some mom's got like, imagine somebody mom driving through a Lola Beans and 3 kids screaming, she's stressed, or some dad, whatever, and you're like, "Hey, man, I got, I got $10 for your order today, like, how about that?" Like, is that crazy, or do you think
No,
into that?
no, it's not crazy. I mean, you gotta like you're saying, you gotta figure out how do you do it correctly,
Yeah.
and manage it, but the concept of it is awesome, and, we have a sign above the door where you walk out to the to because we walk the drinks out to right to the car, and so above the door is a sign that says, "How do we make people feel?" I and we talked to them about, you know, people got all sorts of different stuff going on, like you just mentioned, I mean, you've got police officers doing the stuff they do, high stress, you've got moms, you got people that might be losing their jobs, somebody might
Yep.
have lost a loved one, somebody might be celebrating something, but it's like, when you're on shift and you're interacting, you got a chance to make somebody's day, be a little bright spot in their day when they come through, and so that type of thing where, it I think when the guests can feel like they're kind of part of it also, and they're kinda giving back and paying it forward and being part of making somebody feel a certain way or making somebody's day, I think that kind of, brings all together. That's actually a really, really good idea. Kinda, you know, we just switched to a new, POS system. We just switched to touch point, and they've got a lot of cool things, so I might have to look into that and see, how do you do that? How do you manage that? How do you, the big thing is for me would be how do you let people do it that wanna do it without putting pressure making other people feel like they've got pressure to do it? You know what
Yep.
I mean? Like, how do you just make it where the guests, if they wanna do it, does it without feeling any pressure to do it? But I think
Yep.
people would love that. I think it'd make them feel connected to a place and they're part of giving back. It always feels better to be doing something, giving your time or doing something than receiving something. So I think it's just another
Yeah.
way to, you know, connect to our brand,
It
because
is the pressure thing is a thing, right? Because we're asked to tip on almost
we're
everything
asking.
we do
Yes.
now. We're asked to, oh, you check out at the grocery store. Do you wanna um,
Yep.
yeah, that's a real thing,
Yep.
no doubt
Yep.
about it.
Yeah.
To
And
do it
and
in a
and for me, our brand is, like, how do you feel about yourself when you interact with Lola Beans? Right. And that's,
yeah,
how do you feel about yourself when you interact with our business and our brand? And how do we drive that and protect the brand and make people feel absolutely comfortable that this is their place and the decision loop is closed? I go back to
yeah.
it's closed, it's done. There's no reason to go check out this place or that place. Lola Beans is my place. So
Touch point, what did you switch from? What were you using?
we switched from Toast.
Okay.
And, Toast has got a lot of really, there's a lot of good features and a lot of good things, for what we're doing with being just, beverage. We're not dealing with hoods and fryers and protein, and we're making drinks, right? And we're beverage. And Touchpoint had a really good, um, kinda guest interaction and a good way to market to the guest, um, through some text messaging, the screen for the rewards program and all the information that is on that screen. There is so much valuable information there that is like a prompt to let our baristas organically get to know and remember pets' names, remember where these people work, remember how many kids they have, remember certain things, that you can just kind of build that relationship upon and not, so it's just and, my effective rate would be low. My effective rate went up with Toast, um,
Mhm.
versus we had been with Square before, and I thought it would go down, and it actually went up a little bit, and it's just I think it was a little bit overkill for what we were
Yeah,
doing, and we were using too much of it. So it's a didn't have any problems, it's a good product. I think Touchpoint for us is just a little bit more dialed into what we're trying to accomplish.
touch point.
Yeah.
Would you introduce me to the I don't know touch point, I'd love to
I
go.
will. Yeah, I will get you connected with them for sure.
Well, well, dude, I mean, I have to thank you for your time. I mean, this is awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait till there's a Lola Beans somewhere here in South Charlotte one day. I can't wait to come hang out and have a great experience.
Yeah.
Close my decision loop. I hope you get one, there's actually you mentioned Publix earlier, you're like diagonal from a Publix. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with Publix, by the way. Publix is, another great for a grocery I would never think I'd say I'm obsessed with a grocery store, but they're employee owned, and so their employees are really vested in making that experience excellent, and I just happen to have one near me down here in Waxhaw that's like I go I mean, literally, like, I go every day, because it makes me smile, and it's not because the prices are better, and they're probably more, but, it's because we're so surrounded with negativity and tech, and again, I'm a guy who carries a flip phone, so I'm, like, hyper dialed into this stuff and
Yeah.
probably too dialed in, but I go there because I know that when I go, there's always gonna be somebody there that's makes me smile, and that's my decision loop.
Yeah. No, well, that's it. I'm a Publix guy myself. So, grew up in one of our stops was in Melbourne Beach, Florida, and had a little Publix. I did some bagging of some groceries at Publix, and so I still shop at Publix. And my wife is like, it's more expensive. And I'm like, "You know what? I don't care. I don't even look at it." And I'm not like somebody that's just, spending money like, willy-nilly. I care, but it's at for some reason, I love Publix. I know everything's gonna be nice and clean. The staff is awesome, and that's the experience I wanna, that's what I wanna do. That's where I wanna shop. So, I'm with you. And for us at Lola Beans, I see Publix as a slight elevation over other grocery stores. I see certain brands as slight elevations in their segment, and that's what we're trying to accomplish with Lola Beans, is we want this to just be a slight elevation of all the other competitors in our segment and just a, continuous pursuit. And, um, you know, I absolutely love what I'm doing. I've got I'm not looking to build this to sell it. I, you know, um, I love what Todd Graves has done with Raising Cane's. Um, you know, I, yeah, I mean, I'm blessed. I've got more than I need, and I just wanna build something that's significant and has a significant impact on people, right? Like, there's a whole thing, successful coaches have a case full of trophies. Significant coaches have kids that played for them that come back that thank them for preparing them for life. And so I want Lola Beans to be a significant brand that has a significant impact on the people it comes in contact with. And so we're gonna find some good people and have fun and compete and crank and just enjoy what we're doing.
Well, that's the right why, which is listen, I'm a bet on the jockey guy. I don't bet, actually, I don't gamble. But when I I'm bet on jockeys, not horses, right? Like, you're a jockey, I would put money on in a second. Dude, you are gonna be
And
very because you're not because of the reasons you're doing this, the byproduct is gonna be that you're gonna be very successful. I really do believe that. Um, well, as Maya Angelou I think as Maya Angelou said, "People don't care what you say, they care how you make them feel." Um, that's why it's the non-scripted, the intentionality that you touched on at the very beginning of this conversation that Jenna had there in Alaska. Does Jenna know that have you kept in touch with Jenna?
You know, I haven't been back up in the last year and a half. So I think, I did keep in touch with Jenna. I don't think she knows that we've, started franchising and Lola Beans is doing kind of what it's doing. So I'll have to holler at her and let her know.
Yeah,
But
let her
yeah,
send her
she's
this
got family
episode.
in Cleveland. She's got family in Cleveland. And so they come through. It's funny. Um, Jenna all the way in Alaska has got family in Cleveland. And I actually have 2 employees in the Cleveland store that are from Soldotna, Alaska.
Oh
And
my
they
gosh.
and they just happened to be at, like, Lee University, and then one just moved to the Cleveland area and saw Lola Beans and was like, "I gotta work at Lola Beans." It's like one of these little shacks, and so there's this crazy connection. So,
What a crazy loop. That's awesome, man.
yeah, so the next time I'm up, we try to go through and see if Jenna's working and, say hello, and so, yeah.
How did you come across how did you come across Schedulefly? That was such a delight that you told me this morning you guys are using it.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, so one of my first managers did that, and, it wasn't me, and it was early on, and we've been using it ever since, and there's never been any issues, and it just trucks and works for us. It's awesome. So,
Oh, that's great, man.
it's like one of those, like, technologies, and there's certain technologies that, like, you gotta watch out because it's like, all of a sudden it puts stress on the team, it doesn't add, it's like, you know
Right.
there's it's not you can't use technology just for technology's sake, does it help your customer experience? Is it easy for the team to use? And, Schedulefly is one of those things we've been using, just we've never had any issues with it. It just does what we're wanting it to do, and so it's been awesome.
We like to operate quietly in the
Yeah.
background, man.
Yeah.
Our goal is that people are not worrying about like, it should be quick and easy, and that's what, one of the well, you basically just said it. I always say the 2 best quotes we ever gotten, one was Don Nickel at Taco Lou in Jacksonville, Florida. He's been a customer like 15 years. He said, learning to use Schedulefly is like learning to drive a golf cart," which I always love. And then Woody Lockwood in Raleigh at Trophy Brewing told me one time, he says, "The only thing we use that has never given us a headache." So, well, those are
That's so Don Nickel is, friends with my cousins he's from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Don Nickel is
Don Nickel
amazing.
in Jacksonville is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, friends with my cousin, and then friends with another guy, developer I met in South Carolina, and he's the one that told me he was down there in Jacksonville doing Taco Lou, and so I had dinner at Taco Lou about 6 months ago when I
It's
was down there.
awesome.
Yes, it's really good.
It's the
He's
coolest
he
place.
Yeah, I've heard, I haven't met him, but my cousin knows him really well, and he's an awesome guy. I think he's a good golfer,
Yep,
played in the band, he's got a cool
yep.
taco shop. I mean, living in Florida, like, man,
Living the dream, man.
living the
He's,
dream.
they do tacos on 12 every year between I think it's like between the 11th and 12th hole at the PGA,
Yeah,
down there, and, yeah, he's awesome. He's been on this podcast a couple times.
yeah,
He's a great guy. Yeah,
yeah.
Taco
Do you
Lou
know
is like a
Yeah,
legendary
do you
place.
know Richard Heatley?
Mm,
Um,
mm. I feel like I
he's a
know the name.
developer in the South Carolina,
Okay.
North Carolina area. His stepdad did the, Fats cafes and had
Oh.
cafes and was part of that group. Richard's a big golfer. He's a huge golfer, went to Clemson, and so there's that whole golfing connection. He was telling me, about them doing the stuff with the tournament down there and having
Yeah,
tacos out there, and,
yeah.
some of the pros will come and, like, hang out at Taco Lou every once in a
Oh,
while. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, all every year. Yeah, no, it's a place if you're listening, if you ever go anywhere near Jacksonville, it's a must do down there. You gotta go to Taco Lou.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I just gosh, Donnie, I appreciate the time. This is a awesome episode, man, and you've got a great story, and I can't wait to follow it. And yes, we'll, we'll catch up, offline about doing some sprint work, man. We're gonna get you
Yeah.
back sprinting with no worries and no hamstring, Achilles, nothing like that, man. We're gonna get you
Hey,
back.
listen, I was a lifeguard on a beach in Delaware. I used to do the 4 by 100 soft sand relay and the beach flags, and I gotta get back to that. I'm a mere shell of the athlete I once was, so you gotta get
We'll
me
get you
back.
there.
Gotta
We'll
get me
get you
sprinting
there
again.
with limited time every week, actually. We're gonna get you
Okay,
there.
okay,
All right,
good.
thank you all for
Yep,
listening. Thank you for watching, all of you, including, you, Donnie. If you would go to your Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, give us a 5-star rating if you feel it's worth it. And because the more ratings we get, the more the algorithm will put this content in front of more people. And this is awesome, awesome content, not because of me, because of awesome people like Donnie coming on here and sharing his story. So, more episodes coming soon. Thank you all, and that is a wrap.
awesome. Thanks, Will, this was fun.